So this has been our most requested video ever across the whole of the channel. It's always one age-old question, which is what is the best track spike? And before I made this video, I wanted to try as many spikes as possible. So hopefully this list compiles everything you need to know if you're an 800 meter runner, if you're a 10K runner, if you're a cross country runner, and everything in between. Ironically, our previous video was about how much of an effect spikes or super shoes have. So after this video, you can go and watch that, which is linked in the description. And at the end of the video, I will also be talking about what I think is the best cross-country spike, which will probably shock quite a few people. I'm a mid-foot striker, so if you do the 800 meters and you're more of an aggressive forefoot striker, then maybe a spike like the Adidas Ambition or the Nike Max Fly is better for you. But in this video, I'll be going through the ones what I personally find the best for distances of 800 meters all the way up to the 10,000. But if you are, like I said, an aggressive runner, then go for those options, which seem to be the most popular. So in third place is probably everyone's favorite, and what people might have thought would have taken my top spot is the Nike Dragonfly. Don't really need to say much for the Nike Dragonfly anymore, because everyone who seems to have wanted a spike has tried the Nike Dragonfly. The old faithful, it has been around since 2019, or well, the pros had it in 2019. Nothing has changed since. There's no carbon plate, and it obviously has a full ZoomX foam and a little wedge, which makes it extremely stiff. This spike is phenomenal. In fact, every single spike in the top 3, as you can probably imagine, is a very good spike. This just takes the third spot because even though it's better than all the other super spikes I've tried, apart from the 2 I'm talking about next, it's just not as fast in terms of flat out speed, and it lacks a bit of cushion compared to the others as well. So that's why the Dragonfly takes the third spot for me. It is the most easily available, and if you can only get this spike, you wouldn't be at a disadvantage. The other 2 are marginally better, in my opinion. Second place is the New Balance LDx. The pros now have the New Balance LDx 2, and also that's same with the Dragonfly, where the pros have the Dragonfly 2 and the Airs and Victory 2. I haven't tried those spikes yet, so I couldn't speak on them. The New Balance LDx feels exactly how it looks. There's a lot of stack, which could be a bit problematic towards the end of next year after the Olympics, because there's a change in stack height rule where 25mm drops to 20mm, so this spike wouldn't be legal anymore, but you've still got a year and a half to use it, and anyone who's not an elite also can carry on using it if they see fit. The upper is the best upper on any spike I've tried, especially on this list, and the midsole is softer than ZoomX, maybe not quite as responsive in terms of energy return. I do find that ZoomX is still probably the best foam, but because there's more, and also because of the full-length carbon plate, it does feel more snappy and even has more energy return. So that's where it takes a second spot from 800 all the way up to the 10,000, because it's faster than Dragonfly because it has a full-length carbon plate, and it has more cushion than Dragonfly, and it's a bit more comfortable as well. In the 10,000, I would say it's a level playing field though, because of this full-length carbon plate, which is exposed here as well. It doesn't save your legs as much as the Dragonfly does. So even though this is probably faster and makes you more efficient, eventually your legs are probably going to have a little bit more impact than on the Dragonfly. I would probably still wear this. From a performance perspective, in the 10K only, it's probably very similar. And finally, if you do keep up with any of our content on social media, you probably would have guessed it, it is actually the On Cloudspike, or the On 10,000 meter spike. There is an On 1,500 meter spike, but from all my knowledge, it isn't as good as the On 10,000 meter spike. That's why the On 800 meter runners wear this spike, and the On 10K runners wear this spike. Everything is done in this spike. It's like all the best bits of the other 2 spikes put together. The only downside is the upper. It's just not the same as the New Balance. That's probably the only way it's worse, is the upper isn't as breathable. To say that this is On's first attempt at a super spike, and it's the best overall, I do think that's a very successful job from them. The carbon plate on the bottom is perfect because it's exposed in the forefoot, and then it kind of gets under the cushion in the heel. So that means that if you're doing 800 meters or where you're running on your toes when you're sprinting, you get the full force and the aggression of the carbon plate. But when you don't need it and you want to be running a bit more midfoot or heel when you're a bit tired in a race, you have more protection in your stride as well. So that's kind of the best of both worlds. For me, it feels the best out of all the spikes when you're sprinting. It also feels very comparable to the other 2 at the slower paces. The other 2 kind of feel the same at slow paces. The New Balance and this one are a bit more comfier than the Dragonfly, but ultimately I think they perform the same at a slower or 5K and 10K pace. But when you pick up the pace at the end of a race, or whenever you want to pick up a pace, this is by far the best spike for me in terms of how it feels and how much you can get on your toes and run fast. And if I had to race any distance, it would be in the On 10,000 meter spike. And as mentioned, cross-country spikes, and this is going to shock a lot of people, shocked me as well, and that is the Adidas Avanti. So although I don't really love this for track, there's a few problems it gives me in my Achilles, as well as the midsole is not feeling as responsive as the other shoes I mentioned. it's still a very good spike. And also the Adidas LDx Pro Foam is a little bit firmer than the likes of the Zoom X or the New Balance or the On Super Foam. So that's why it kind of feels perfect for cross country. If I could choose one spike to race cross country racing, it would be the Adidas Avanti. The upper is breathable, but also protected, so it will drain, but it's not going to fall apart like some other spikes would on the cross course. And rather than a plate, it has rods, which are a little bit more flexible, which allows you to kind of change direction a bit easier, as there's a bit more movement as well. So it kind of just flows really well on a cross country course. That is something you definitely need. Please comment if you have tried any of these spikes, what you think the best track spike is, and also comment what other videos you want us to do next.